Hello and welcome back to Enlighten Us, your easy path to learning Arabic. Today you're joining us for lesson 15 where we are looking at the past tense الفعل الماضي. Right, let's take a look at a group of words. So let's start with خرجوا, they went out. خرجت, you went out. خرجنا, we went out. What you'll notice here is the kha, the ra, and the jim, and this is consistent across all three words. You'll then notice that in each word the suffix is different. Why is this? Well, it's because we're looking at a fi'l, we're looking at a verb. A fi'l is distinct from an ism and indeed from a harf in that it has a particular tense, it occurs at a particular time. So in this lesson we're looking at the past tense specifically. Also, the suffix differs between each of the three words because in each case the suffix denotes the pronoun. That is to say, it tells us who is taking action, who is doing the action. So in terms of خرجوا, they went out. خرجت, you went out. خرجنا, we went out. Let's take a moment to recap the pronouns before having a look at our wider chart. So we have huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu, and nahnu. Now, of course, you will have undoubtedly memorized these by now. Now let's have a look at the past tense chart. So it's using that root, kharaja, but for all the pronouns, so all the various options that we have. So we have huwa kharaja, huma kharaja, hum kharaju, hiya kharajat, huma kharajata, hunna kharajna, anta kharajta, antuma kharajtuma, أنتم خرجتم، أنت خرجتِ، أنتما خرجتما، أنتن خرجتن، أنا خرجت، نحن خرجنا، نحن خرجنا. Now there's a couple of things to point out here. If you'll notice, the pronouns are greyed out. That's because خرج on its own translates to he went out. The pronoun there is just as a reminder. In fact, if I was to translate it, it would be he went out. There would be a duplication because in each case, the pronoun is implicit within the verb. So you don't need it in the way that you do for English. She went out. You don't need to say it in that way. Kharajat is sufficient to convey the meaning. She went out. It's sufficient to convey who the doer is. That's the first thing. The second thing, this chart is a sort of template for other roots. So to understand that a little bit more, let's have a look at a different example. So let's take the example of another root, dakhala, he entered. And let's see how that pans out. So we have huwa dakhala, huma dakhala, hum dakhalu, hiya dakhalat, huma dakhalata, hunna dakhalna, anta dakhalta, antuma dakhaltuma, antum dakhaltum, anti dakhalti, antuma dakhaltuma, antunna dakhaltunna, ana dakhaltu, nahnu dakhalna, nahnu dakhalna. So as you can see, using a different root, you can put it into the chart and it derives from that original root from dakhala. It derives all the other various verbs that you can have for the pronouns that we've seen. And again, just as a reminder, the pronouns here are just to help and aid in memorization and in understanding. In terms of meaning, they are implicit. So the dakhaltu, for instance, translates to I went out without having the ana preceding it. There is something to note here by way of disclaimer, I guess, is that the chart that we have just seen is useful for what we call al-af'al thulathiyya, and essentially these are verbs that have 3 letters. In English sometimes you'll see them called form 1 verbs, and we'll look at the various forms in later lessons, but that particular chart is useful for when you're talking about al-af'al thulathiyya, form 1 verbs, and these are verbs with only 3 letters. So we've reached the end of the lesson, so let's have a summary, let's have a mulakhas. We have been looking at past tense verbs. Now we said that verbs exist in a particular tense, so in this lesson we focused specifically on the past tense. In terms of the past tense, it's the suffix that denotes the pronoun, it's the suffix that denotes the doer of the verb, so who is taking action. We looked at specifically form 1, so we looked at the verb patterns with 3 letters, for the pattern for verbs with 3 letters. And then I provided you with a chart, which is a template for other verbs that also have 3 letters. And of course, wherever there is a chart, there is a reminder to memorize. Thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell. And of course, check out the description box for additional resources. See you in the next one, inshallah.